back with another episode on Motion and Success. So you already know who it is. It's Io. Instagram is IYODEJI. And I got my co-host,
Cody Brown, future _ the CEO.
And today we got a special guest. Y'all definitely about to learn a lot. Today we got...
My name is Derrick Loftin, a.k.a. Mr. _ D Loftin on Instagram.
Right.
So I know a lot of you guys might not know who he is, but we gonna let him break it down for you guys. Can you just tell him like where you from?
All right, yeah. I was born in Brooklyn, New York. I grew up on Long Island. Now, most people will say, oh, you know, Long Island and Brooklyn, they're not the same. If you ask me, Brooklyn and Queens is part of Long Island. So technically, I grew up on Long Island my whole life.
we still claim you. We still claim you out here in Brooklyn, though. We still claim you.
That's funny. All right, cool. So what do you do, Derrick? How do you help the people out?
All right. So basically, what I do is I teach people how to leverage their credit card reward points to get tons of cash back, but also be able to travel absolutely free. So that's something that I specialize in. So I enjoy teaching people the different perks of different credit cards. Because a lot of people are getting credit cards out here and just don't know, what they're getting them for. So I enjoy actually teaching people the benefits of the cards.
Right.
So that's something I specialize in. It's fun for me. So
that's what's up.
Yeah.
You said traveling free. So
Yeah.
we gonna have you break that down later. But like, how'd you jump into the credit world? Like,
All right. Well, I mean, I probably have the same story as a lot of other people. I mean, I wasn't taught a lot about credit. My first credit card I got when I was 18 years old. Now, just so y'all know, I ain't young. I'm 42 years old. But I got my first credit card when I was 18. I remember getting it because you know how when you go to college, I was going to Nassau Community College at the time. When you go to any college, the first week of school, there's always that table there. People trying to sign you up for different credit cards, right? So I said, oh, cool, a credit card, let me sign up. I remember getting that credit card. It was like $1,000 limit. And I remember telling my twin brother, I said, yo, I got a credit card. Let's go to Century 21. I wanted to get some Jabot jeans because I thought I was a cash money millionaire. I wanted to get some Reeboks. And I went and got tattoos from this place called Murder Inc. in Queens. And to me, I was like, oh, it's free money. And at that point, I was like, I don't got no way to pay this back, so I just let it go. It wasn't until, years later when I met my now wife. She actually came to me and was like, hey, you need to make sure you have your credit straight. I ain't think nothing of it. She's like, well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make you an authorized user on my credit card. I said, okay, cool. She handed me her credit card. It's like, yo, this is yours. You can use it. I said, I don't want to use it and mess up your credit or whatever. But she's like, nah, it's cool. We together. It's cool. As I started using that credit card, I was being more responsible with it. So I said, all right, let me get rid of the stuff that's on my old, the old stuff that I had from back in the day. I started, repairing my credit, etc. It wasn't until I got a moment where I said, oh, man, I got a daughter that's getting ready to go to college soon. And I said, you know what's going to suck? If she has to go and apply for college and needs a co-signer, and she comes and asks daddy, hey, can you co-sign for me?
Yeah.
And my credit is terrible and I can't help my daughter go to college.
Right.
That made me say, okay, I got to make some changes. So then that's when I really started off on my credit card journey, just, wanting to have that why and saying, I need to do something a little different. But obviously, when you're younger, you still do some irresponsible things. And I'm one of those guys where I'm an all or nothing type of guy. Mm-hmm. So what I mean by that is I like to vacation a lot.
Yeah.
There was times where I would go to, Atlantic City. But this particular time, I went to Vegas.
Yeah.
It was years ago. Me and my wife went to Vegas. We went for 7 days.
Whew.
Now, the thing is, I never recommend anybody to go to Vegas for more than 4 days.
Absolutely not.
You can get into a lot of trouble
That's
after
true.
7 days. And I said, you know what? I said, look, we got these credit cards. Now, at this point, I'm getting approved for Sapphire cards, all types of cards. We got these credit cards. Yo, you only live once. YOLO. Let's go out. Let's go to all the best restaurants. Let's go to the nicest rooms in these hotels, whatever. And we just started spending money. At the end of that summer, we came back from Vegas, and then we continued throughout the whole summer. At the end of that summer, I think I was about $35,000 in straight credit card debt.
From the casinos?
From the casinos, from being in Vegas, from eating at Bobby Flay's and Gordon Ramsay's and all the best restaurants.
Right.
And I said to her, okay, we're in trouble. I said, how are we going to pay this off?
Right.
And she's like, we got to get another job. I said, I'm not getting another job. There's no way I'm getting another job. So I was literally using my credit cards. You know how people pay their credit card, pay the bill. Once the bill posts, the next day, I got an extra whatever on my card, I would go spend it on the card again. But that's before I really understood statement dates, due dates, closing dates, all those things. So I was like, all right, we got to do something different. So I ended up saying, you know what? I'm going to start doing Grubhub and DoorDash because at least I get to pick my own hours. Once I started doing that, that actually helped me to pay off a lot of my credit card debt. So that was a big help for me. So that's basically what made me start, understanding what credit was all about. Just because, trial and error. You go through some things. You try to go get approved for a car, and they tell you interest rate is crazy. All those, no matter what, you're going to get approved here. I had to get cars that I didn't really want, Ford Escapes, and all types of crappy cars because my interest rates were crazy. I couldn't afford to get whatever I really wanted because my credit was bad. It's all a learning experience. So.
Right. And how long did it take you to actually pay everything off? That it's about $35,000 plus interest.
Well, what really helped me pay it off, believe it or not, was I Grubhub, but my wife did it too. So I commend my wife. My wife Amanda, we're always a team on everything. So she would Grubhub, I would Grubhub. It took a lot of sacrifice because I would get out of my 9 to 5 and literally go straight to Grubhubbing. While I was Grubhubbing, obviously I was one of the only Grubhub people in my entire area where I live in Suffolk County in Patchogue. So I was making a lot of money. I was making $200 to $300 a day. But once the pandemic hit and no one can go outside and no one can go to restaurants, everyone's going to supermarkets buying up all the toilet paper and stuff. That's when I started really making money during the pandemic. So I was making $500, $600, $700, $800 a day, part time.
Wow.
And now I'm motivated. So I'm like, oh, my day off, I'm a Grubhub all day. Or let me take a week's vacation from work, Grubhub. So before I knew it, my whole credit card debt was gone. Just simply because I started doing that. And the best thing that happened to that was, of course, people will say, oh, you were working a lot. But it gave me the opportunity to listen to a lot of podcasts.
Yeah.
Just like this one. I started listening to podcasts while I was in the car. Me listening to podcasts is actually what started to really change my life. Because I started listening to podcasts like Bigger Pockets, learning about that and learning. This is around when EYL was about to first start. And I was listening to different Todd Capital podcasts. And I was like, oh, what's all the stuff everybody's talking about? Everybody's buying businesses and business credit. And that's when everything started to really take off.
Wow,
so,
that's a crazy story.
Yeah.
So you, because back to the free flights. So after going through all that, the bad side of credit, like you seen the bad side of credit. So then, I'm guessing like afterwards, then you started to see the good side, like when you finally start paying those cards off and getting those points. So like, what was the cheapest flight you ever been on?
Oh, I don't pay for flights. So I literally only pay for like the taxes. I don't pay for flights. I don't pay at all. And what started, so all right, in order for me to explain how that happened, I started listening to a lot of podcasts. When I started listening to the podcast, everyone was talking about business credit. So naturally, I would go on social media. Instagram was starting to get popular. And people I was following were all talking about business credit. And they were talking about this different skill of hitting your sign-up bonuses. They were talking about something called manufacturer spending. They were talking about hitting your sign-up bonuses and being able to travel. So I said, what's this about? So I started doing my research on it, and I started running different techniques that they would talk about on these different websites, things like that. I was paying for different classes, etc. It wasn't until it was two people in particular that changed everything for me. A gentleman by the name of Dub Washington. He had an ebook talking about, how to get these flights for free, how to leverage your reward points, get cash back, etc. I read this ebook, and I really started implementing a lot of the things he was talking about in the ebook. Things that are like common sense, but a lot of people don't realize it until someone says it to them. And that started working for me. I started, getting a lot of cash back, a lot of reward points. And then I ran into a young lady. And as a matter of fact, this is where I actually met Cody. It was December, I believe, of 2021. There was a free event in Brooklyn. Haitian CEO was having a free event. And I remember being there, listening to Haitian CEO. And I remember texting my wife, which was my girlfriend at the time, and saying, yo, I think I'm sitting next to 50 Cent's son. Because I literally thought Cody was 50 Cent's son. If you look at Cody, that's what he looks like, right?
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there, and everything's over. And I hear this young lady talking about a bunch of different things. I'm like, who's this girl? She don't know more than me. I go over there. She's talking. Something about what she was saying, it captivated me. Her name was Sheeta 3. And she was talking about how she travels for free, etc., how she's leveraging, she uses her credit cards correctly, etc. So I said, yo, she got a mentorship. I remember getting in the Uber and calling my wife and saying, whatever this girl's doing, I need to tap in with her right now. Because, one, she lives near us. She lives in the tri-state area. I'm in the tri-state area. I said, two, her energy was crazy. I got to show you this girl when I get home. I tapped in with her, and it's been life-changing for me ever since. So, believe it or not, I haven't paid for a flight since, I want to say, 2021. I haven't paid for a flight. I just know how to use credit cards correctly. I know how to move reward points around. You know what I'm saying? And it's a plus for me because my youngest daughter, her mom is in the military. So at the time, she went from being stationed in Illinois, then she was stationed in North Carolina, and now she's actually stationed in Hawaii. My daughter's with her.
Right.
So I'm not paying for these flights. And when my daughter comes to stay with me for the summer, I'm not paying for those either. So yeah, we got to learn how to use these credit cards correctly.
I could attest to that.
Oh,
I could attest to that 100%. I like he said, Sheeta 3. I met her, and from there, like I haven't really paid for a flight or a hotel.
Right.
No, I probably did pay for a hotel, but flights never an issue. And most times, every time like when we travel, I'm spending like $6 to go, $6 to come back. Because now you're paying for the taxes and the fees. If you got the credit card points, if you use them correctly, you'll be able to stretch 100,000 points over, 5, 6, 7 trips if you really know what you're doing.
Right. And I'm all about giving flowers to people. I mean, I know I'm on the podcast right now, but, me being in the right places at the right time around the right people can change everything for you. They always say you're only as good as the 5 people you're around the most. And I always say that's a lie. I always say you're only as good as the 5 people you're around with the most if you take information from them and you execute on it. Mm-hmm. So listening to her, the way she would speak about different things and being able to take what she said and take from what other people are saying and putting it all together, that actually helped me to execute to the level that I'm able to execute. So for sure. I can give you some pointers, don't worry.
Yeah, so what's like your favorite what's like your favorite card to use?
All right, so if anybody doesn't know, I'm also known on social media as the guy. I actually got married. So my official marriage date is March 21st of 2022. Mm-hmm. My actual wedding was March 17th of 2023. Now, why that makes sense is it was supposed to be 3-2-1-2-3, but why that? So my wedding was 3-2-1. And it was supposed to be 3-2-1-2-3, but 3-2-1 of this year would have been on a Tuesday. But why it makes sense is when I got engaged to my fiance, my wife at the time, she was going to be my fiance. She wanted to have a wedding, and she said to me, "I need you to see me in the white dress. I need you to be able to see me and walk down the aisle." Me personally, I was all for let's go to the courthouse and get married. Hopefully she'll forget about it. Yeah. So when we went to the courthouse and got married on 3-2-1 the previous year, I was like, she's going to forget about it. But before that, she kept saying, I want to get married. I want to get married. So I kept telling her, I don't think we're going to have the money to pay for this wedding. Like, it's not possible. But I knew I had a special set of skills on knowing how to use my credit cards correctly. I was able to pay off my entire wedding, $54,000, with just the cash back and reward points from my credit cards. So that means you got to really know about credit cards to do that.
Yeah.
So one of my favorite cards, to be honest with you, is the Apple Card.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't realize your Apple Card, if you're using it for Apple Pay, which 99% of registers have now, you're getting 2% cash back for everything you're spending. So I need people to understand this. When we were younger, what were we taught? What were we conditioned to do?
Put your debit cards
in.
Use those. Put the credit cards to the side for emergency purposes.
Right. And not only that, remember, my daddy would come home from working all week. He would come home. He would hand mommy the paycheck, and she would do what? Balance the checkbook, right? Pay all the bills with whatever was in the checking account at the time. But I started to realize, man, instead of me doing that, why don't I use my credit cards correctly? Use my credit cards for all my everyday bills, my everyday expenses, Some of them give you what's called multipliers, meaning they give you more of a reward or an incentive when you use it at certain places. And then use the money from my checking account just to pay back the credit cards. Mm-hmm. Once I realized that, it was like game over. So you have people that go out there and they say, oh, I'm going out to a restaurant to go eat. We all know when we go out to a restaurant with our friends, right? It's a bunch of us, a group of us. I always make fun of people because every time you go out to eat with your friends, what's the first thing that happens when everyone knows what they ate? Everyone's, oh, let me get a Long Island iced tea, let me get some nachos, let me get this, let me get that. The minute the bill comes, you've never seen more mathematicians in your life. Everyone can tell you exactly how much they spent. I only got chicken fingers and a Long Island iced tea. Or I only got, everybody knows what they did, right? So what happens is this. What if you were the responsible person and say, you know what, guys, do me a favor. Everybody Zelle me back the money that you say you're going to pay. Zelle it to me. I'm going to pull out my Chase Sapphire credit card. Why? My Chase Sapphire credit card is going to give me 3 times the points if I spend it when I'm out dining. Or let me pull out my American Express Gold card, 4x the points when I use it out when I'm dining. So now, while everyone's complaining, I'm using my credit card. So I'm getting those reward points. I'm getting that cash back that I could use towards something else.
Right.
You understand? So that's what I started doing. Like I said, the Apple Card's the same thing.
And then in return, now once you start using these credit cards, the points start adding up, and now you're able to start traveling for free. Now you start able to get those hotels for free, and even the rentals, because I know you got the status. Every time you travel, you pick up your car. You be like, Mr. D Loftin, #1 for pickup, checkout.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But see, the funny thing is also, when people are out there getting credit cards, the first thing you got to look at is if these credit cards have what's called a sign-up bonus. Mm-hmm. So what's happening is this. Credit Karma, shame on Credit Karma, because it's conditioned a lot of us to look on Credit Karma where it says, you have outstanding approval odds for this card, that card. And people get excited and say, oh, I'm going for that card. Me, I don't do that. What I'll do is I'll surf the internet. I'll go to Doctor of Credit. I'll go to the credit boards, FICO forums. I'm looking for whatever credit card has the best sign-up bonus for whatever I'm going to use it for. So let's say, for example, an American Express card, American Express Gold. Let's say they say, hey, if you spend X amount of dollars in 3 months, you're going to get 80,000 bonus points. Please believe I'm going to spend that money in 3 months. And a lot of the times people will say, I can't spend that much money, but you can. Let's look at the stuff that you're paying for every day. You're paying for food. You're paying for gas. You're paying for groceries. You're paying for daycare. You understand? You're paying for your light bill, all that stuff. Put that on your credit card. Now, not a lot of people have the amount of credit cards I have, but someone as simple as it could maybe have 2 or 3 credit cards, you could be executing this all the time. If your credit card's not giving you travel points, reward points, or travel miles, cash back, or 0% interest, or some combination of all of them, then it's not even worth getting.
Right.
So, and I used to be like that. I used to have credit cards that gave me nothing. And I remember telling my wife, I was like, oh, yeah, call them and tell them we want to switch the credit card, the card that does this. You know? So that's what we got to start looking at as well.
Damn. So back to like the wedding, like, could you break it down? Because I know you got to buy a tuxedo.
Right.
You got to get the venue,
right.
DJ,
so
food.
A lot of money that goes into that. So how do you get it for free?
All right. So I'm gonna break it down as simple as forms as possible so everybody can understand it. The first thing I always tell everybody: if you have an idea in mind, reverse engineer it. So what I did was I went out and I priced out every single thing. Whether it was the venue, the DJ, every single thing, I priced it out. And I said, okay, you want to have this wedding on this day? That means we have to get this much money per month to be able to pay it off. So what we would start doing was I said, okay, now we know what we got to pay for. First things first, let's see where we could start off paying off immediately. Now remember, I was already out there using my card to get cash back and reward points anyway, right? So the first thing I did was very first thing I did was I did a round of funding because I knew my credit. I knew my credit was where it needed to be. I had a good profile. I had just started an LLC. So I said, let me get a round of funding going. And if anyone that knows what a round of funding means, that means I got a new LLC, and I said, let me get business credit for that particular LLC. Now, I like to operate mostly on the business side because it doesn't report on the personal side. But I also use personal credit cards as well, so I'm not going to lie to you. You got to get in where you fit in, right? So what I did was, the first thing I did was I started identifying what the sign-up bonuses were. Once I started seeing, okay, this credit card is going to give me $750 cash back if I spend this. This credit card is going to give me this if I spend that. I started to hit those sign-up bonuses first. But a lot of us go shopping all the time, right? The problem is you guys are not shopping correctly. And what I mean by that is, for example, Christmas. We all know Christmas comes every single year. Black Friday got all the deals. Instead of me going to go shop for my children, shop for my family, shop for my friends, and just go to the store or just shop online, I started using different cashback portals. All right? So these cashback portals are cashback portals like Rakuten, for example. Yeah. Everyone knows Rakuten. They be having commercials on the Super Bowl and things like that. Rakuten, to me, is the #1 cashback portal that there is. That means if I'm going to go buy my daughter some stuff from Nike, a lot of the times I know that Rakuten is going to give me some sort of cash back. So sometimes maybe, let's say 10% cash back. In the fourth quarter, which is usually right around Christmas, I know they bump that up to, let's say, 15% cash back, etc. So what I'll do is I'll go and I'll buy stuff from the stores that I know are going to give me the most cash back, that I know my children want this stuff for anyway. But a lot of people go flood Rakuten all the time. Rakuten's not the only show in town. So what I tell everybody to do is there's more cashback portals out there. Capital One has one. Chase has a portal. Everyone has portals. But what you got to do is look for the ones that are giving you the most. How you do that is you go on a site. It's called Cashback Monitor. Yep. It's a free site. You go on Cashback Monitor, and all you do is put in the store that you're going to shop at. It'll tell you which site is giving you the most cash back, which site is giving you the most reward points or travel points, and you shop according to that. All right? What happens is when you're shopping at these cashback portals, not only are you getting cash back or reward points from your credit card, but you're also getting it from these portals as well. Some of these portals pay out differently. Some of them pay out more frequently than others. But Rakuten, for example, they pay out 4 times a year. So I know if I'm doing a bulk of my shopping for Christmas, I know come around February 15th, around Valentine's Day, I'm going to get a cash back incentive or a cash back check in the form of either a PayPal deposit or a check right around that time. So I use that to my advantage. So that's something that I like to do. I like to make sure, one, I'm using a credit card that's giving me the most reward points and cash back, but also use these cash back portals to my advantage. I also volunteer and say to my friends, yo, you need gas for your car? Yo, let me use the correct credit card that gives you gas and give me points on my gas. You just send me the money back. Oh, my grandmother, you got to go food shopping for Thanksgiving, right? Grandma, don't worry. Just give me the money. I'll go food shopping for you. There's things that we do every single day that if we just use the correct credit cards, we could be getting all these benefits for it. Right. So it's literally that simple. So just doing that alone and just understanding, like I said, the cash back, the reward points. Of course, there's a whole bunch of other ways to do it to maximize it a lot more, but that's a whole nother show. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, you could really get some things going. Think of it like this also. You guys are businessmen, right? Let's look at it like this. Use a card like a American Express Business Gold card, right? You see people, you know how you go on Instagram, sponsored ads, people are running ads on Facebook, Instagram. You know why these people are running these ads? And then they'll sit around and say, I got all these points. The reason why they're doing it is the American Express Gold card gives you 4 extra points if you use it for marketing. So while these people are running ads, they're running up the points.
Oh, right? so is it only like for like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok? Is it only for that?
No, you can use it for advertising in general. But what happens is,
so how would they know? Like
it's all the way it codes when it goes through on your card. Okay. So what happens is you can be benefiting from that, right? So when you see a lot of these Instagram influencers, I travel for free. What they're not telling you is they use the American Express Gold card and they were paying for the ads. And when they got the 4X points, they were using the points to be able to put it into the American Express portal, and that's how they were able to get their flights, right? Wow. So just having cards give you benefits, but also you asked about travel. American Express Platinum card, for example, one of my other favorite cards. Now, for most people, you see everybody talking about the Platinum. Everybody talks about it. But let's keep it real. For me, the Platinum is probably the worst American Express card.
Oh, wow.
Here's why. See, you said, oh, wow. Here's why. Once you hit the sign-up bonus, the American Express Platinum card is useless as far as points is concerned. Yeah. But it gives you what's called a Delta Clear, not Delta, it's a clear credit, meaning you can get the credit for, being able to get clear at the airports. You get the TSA pre-check, the global entry. So it has its perks, right? You get the lounge access. I like when I go travel to go see my daughter or whatever, I am not sitting with general population down near the airline terminal. I go into the lounge. You know what I'm saying? I go get free food. The Wi-Fi is fantastic. They got free alcohol. Everybody wants a little drink.
I ain't gonna front. The Amex Lounge is low key starting to become like a gem pop now.
It is.
Everybody
knows about it.
Bro, I tell you, like they have the line be like wrapped around the lounge sometimes, and it's like, like you have to be waiting just to get in there, and then you got a time limit. But listen, I would rather be inside the lounge where I could get some food, and it's not it's good stuff. Right. And not only that, you'll be able to meet people in there. You know what I mean?
Great networking.
Exactly, because now you got to think about it. There's people that's getting into these lounge. If you don't have the credit card, you might have to spend $50 to get in there.
Right.
You know what I mean? About $50, $55, something like that. So now, if you don't have it, imagine like there's a person that's paying about $700 for a credit card just to have it.
Right.
Every single year.
Right.
And now you inside the lounge, more than likely you're gonna bump into some good people.
Right. Usually businessmen. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You never know who you're gonna meet inside these lounges. So I use it as a tool for that. But again, that American Express Platinum card, it's fantastic for travel, but it's not good when you're doing like regular spends on it. It's like a 1-to-1 ratio. It's only good for travel. Yeah. So when you see people talking so much, I got that platinum card. Listen, anybody pulling out their platinum card for everything, it looks fantastic. It looks fantastic.
It's a flex.
But it's not really doing much for you. You know what I'm saying? The gold card is the card for you. And nobody, believe it or not, everybody talks, I can get the black card. No, they can't. You know how much you got to spend to get a black card? Everyone talks about it. They want to have the black card flex and all that. I don't know anybody that has a black card. So I'm all about the gold. I'm all about the platinum. You know what I'm saying? Things like that.
So the gold is better than the platinum.
In this situation, yes, it is. The gold is better than the platinum because the gold has what's called multipliers. Multipliers means it gives you more points or rewards towards whatever is particular spending category you're using it for. The platinum the only actual rewards or multiplier is towards travel. So if you spend the platinum on travel, then yes, you can get more. But gold is the one to go with.
Right.
So that's the one.
And then another thing too, when you got the platinum card, it's great because now it could transfer to other places like Marriott and Hilton.
Exactly.
And you get the gold status in there.
Exactly, and that's a cheat code because now, so I'm gonna break this down to y'all too. Well, let's say you have that American Express Platinum card. Now you get the higher status with Marriott, which translates over to also Hilton. So you can get both of those. But then you could take your status from Marriott and Hilton, and you can go call a hotel like Best Western. And you can tell Best Western, hey, look, I got this status with Marriott and Hilton. What can you do for me? They're going to now give you the highest status when it comes to Best Western. But I don't know of too many people that stay at Best Western. So I never stayed at one, but I got the highest status. But then I take that Best Western status, and believe it or not, I can take that Best Western status and start going to all the different rental car companies that are going to match it. So you have Budget, you have National, you have Avis, you have Enterprise. You can go to any of these. You can start. It actually like a tree effect, which I can explain another time. But what you do is you just take status from each one, and you start moving the status around. That's how like Cody said, when I go to the airport, I don't wait online for my rental car. I literally look up at the board. They'll tell me what space my rental car is in. I walk over to it. My key is in there. I'm driving out. And usually they'll upgrade me. Yeah. So having good credit and having, understanding how to use this card, that has great perks to it. So.
And also on top of that too, you could, let's say for example, the only car that they do have on a lot, like let's say they got a Tesla. The Tesla will rent out, let's say $100 a day. Now, if you got the status, you got the highest status, you could be paying economy money and still be able to ride the Tesla wheels, and still paying the most cheapest thing. So that's why, status definitely is important.
Right.
So.
And it's a trickle-down effect, too, because, like, my kids, they see, oh, Daddy, we're going here. Now they have the expectation of, we're not waiting online to get through the airport. So I get through JFK. Usually JFK is a pretty busy airport. Yeah. I like to fly Delta. So the Delta terminal, just to get through, I'm getting through in 4.5 minutes through security. The only airport that this doesn't work at for me is in Atlanta, because Atlanta is a zoo. Oh, my goodness. It's like, there's no way of going to, people have different hacks of getting through quick there, but me, I can't never get through Atlanta airport fast. But JFK and LaGuardia, I'm through there in no time, because I ain't waiting on nobody's line. I try to get through. Especially if I know I just have a carry-on, I'm showing up at the airport an hour before my flight, just so I can get through quick.
So you said you was looking at the sign-up bonuses. So a lot of people might get turned off. Like, damn, I gotta spend 3 racks. I gotta spend like $4,000.
Right.
You know, just to get these points. I don't think it's worth it. Is there a way like to kind of go around that and still get the sign-up points? Like,
no, I mean, you would have to definitely spend. And what I mean by that is, obviously, the first thing I tell people to do is sit down and write down exactly what they spend their money on originally anyway, right? Write down exactly what you spend your money on a monthly basis. Usually, the sign-up bonus is spread amongst, let's say, 3 months or 6 months, however many months. So that's the one way of doing it. Obviously, there's other ways of doing it. There's other techniques out there. I call them the spend secrets, right? Obviously, there's other ways of doing it where, you know, you could be using your credit cards and buying stuff in bulk. Now, think of it like this. If you know you can, here's one way that you can do it that's pretty smart. So I have friends of mine, you know, sneakers are pretty popular, right? We know that you can buy any sneaker, and nowadays you can go and resell it for more money, right? So one of the ways we do the spend secrets, for example, is we have different techniques or different hookups at different sneaker stores where we can go into a sneaker store and go buy multiple pairs of a sneaker, right? Now, we're using our credit card to do it, but we know that this is a form of the spend secrets. I don't like to say the word manufactured spending. I say the spend secrets. And what we do is we'll go buy all these sneakers knowing that as soon as we leave out of that sneaker store, we can go put those sneakers on StockX or on GOAT and sell them for a profit. Once we sell them for a profit, we'll pay back the credit cards, and then we'll keep the money in our pocket. But we do that multiple different ways. You can do that with clothing. You can do that, like I said, with sneakers. You can do that with jewelry. You can do that with pocketbooks. There's so many different ways of doing it. Another thing I do is if I know I'm spending money, a certain amount of money every single month, no matter what, one of the good things I know how to do is if I know I have a certain amount of expense, I'll use my certain credit cards, and I'll go buy gift cards, knowing that I could take those gift cards and go pay different things with those gift cards. But now, knowing a card like a Chase Ink Cash, for example, gives you 5x points when you use it in an office supply store. Once a month, Staples does has like gift cards for no fee. So because I know that, and I find that out on Doctor of Credit, I find that out, you can get up to $1,600 a day in gift cards with any Staples store. Now, since I know that and I know what my expenses are every single month, and this is a business credit card, what I'll do is I'll go get gift cards, right? I know that Chase Ink is giving me 5x cash back if I use it in there, so 5% cash back. Now, of course, that's not a lot of money, right? But let's do the math. If you do the math on that, and I ain't a mathematician, but if you have 5x points and I can get $1,600 a day over the course of 7 days, that's a lot of money. But then, and I can't do the math right now, but here's the smart thing. Here's the smart thing about it though too. My wife and my oldest daughter are authorized users or employees on every single one of my credit cards. This way, if they do the same exact thing, it's times 3. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So now, whatever points stuff I'm getting is just multiplying because they're doing the same exact thing. So at the end of the month, I look at my Chase Ink Cash statement, and I may have $1,500 in cash back, $2,000 in cash back, simply because I did it. Then I can use those same gift cards to go shopping. I can use those same gift cards in stores. I can use those same gift cards to go purchase a money order to pay a bill. I can use those same. That's how you do it.
That makes sense. So now you maximizing on certain areas where they will incentivize you much more.
Right.
So now instead, like, all right, cool, we was gonna spend this money anyways. You know what I mean?
Right.
Why not maximize on the higher incentives? Like, for example, the gift card.
Right.
So now you go out, you use it, you shop, you do your thing, or even like if graduation season or even Christmas season, hey, hold this $200 gift card. Merry Christmas, Happy Birthday, whatever.
Right.
So that makes sense. And also, have you ever tried out? There's like communities where they will like e-commerce stores. They will actually, what is it? Like they have communities where they need people to help them buy stuff.
Right, buying groups.
Yep. Right.
Where you can use your credit card and you're essentially buying things for this group. you'll ship it to them. When you ship the items to them, they'll pay you the cost of whatever you paid for. Plus, they usually give you a little bit of a kickback as well. Yeah. So those buying groups come in handy as well. So there's so many different ways of utilizing these credit cards that is crazy. And one of the things that I think people need to definitely understand, besides getting reward points and cash back, I'm all about using, the cash back and reward points, but you could also use these credit cards to your benefit to be able to invest as well.
Yeah.
So there's also techniques and things that you can use these credit cards for to pull money off of these credit cards to be able to go put them into passive income flows or income streams, real estate, things like that. So it's always a benefit for a credit card. No longer are we just using credit cards to go max them out and not pay the bills. We got to use the credit cards to our benefit now. So that's important. Right. That's important.
How have you turned credit to cash flow?
So for me, for example, at first I never knew what I want. I was getting all this business credit, and I don't advise anybody to do this. I was getting all this business credit and had no idea what I was going to do with it. I was just doing it because everybody said it. And the sad thing is,
and it sounds cool.
It sounds cool. And the sad thing is, there's a lot of people that are doing the same exact thing. They're doing the same thing. So out of necessity, I had to learn how to get these reward points and the cash back because I had all these cards sitting around. But since then, I've always been able to get into different businesses. So I own trailers, in which I make cash flow from that I pull money off of credit cards. I've been able to do that. I'm actually actively looking into real estate to be able to invest into real estate. I used to own also tax offices as well. Liberty Tax, the people that stand outside with the thing with the red, white, and blue flag and all that. Yeah. I was a victim of one of those. You know what I'm saying? I own those, which was actually a great business. So I did that. So I'm always looking into different ways of putting money into different places. Because believe it or not, a lot of people think, I'm going to get the 0% interest credit card. And when I'm ready to use it, that's when the interest starts. No, the minute you get that credit card, the interest starts. So you want to know, here's my disclaimer for everybody. If y'all don't get nothing else from me, understand this. Don't get credit cards until you actually know what you want to do with it, because that's how you end up in a trap. And what I mean is, when you got $150,000, $200,000 in credit cards sitting in your wallet and you don't have nothing to do with it, they always say idle hands are a devil's playground. You're gonna want to go spend it on shopping. You want to go on trips. Make sure you have a plan for that money. Make sure you understand where to put that money. And if you don't, find someone that does exactly what you want to do. And go team up with them. Go mentor with them. Go do something with them before you go get these credit cards and not know what to do with it. So I'm very big on that for sure.
Dang. Now that was a lot of game. You just gave out a lot of plays, just back to back to back to back. Yeah. So when did you realize you knew something that a lot of people didn't know?
So what was happening was I would go into other communities. And as I'm in these other communities, I'm a big fan of, if you want to know something, go find other people that know the same thing you know. So what I do is, let's say you want to get into real estate, you want to learn more about credit cards. We go on Facebook anyway. We go on Instagram anyway. There's these Facebook groups that you can go into. And I would go into a Facebook group, and I would be, just looking. I always scroll through, see what people know. I always ask questions, things like that. And believe it or not, you're going to notice that a lot of people don't know what you know. So one of my friends, a good mentor of mine, his name is Runway Billionaire. He always says to me, Derrick, understand this. Anything that happens in life, put it on a scale of 0 to 10. And he says, what you may know at a level 7 or 8, there may be somebody that's at a level 1 that you need to teach them to get them to that level 7 or 8. Or vice versa. So he always says that to me, and I never understood what he meant by that. So as I'm going into these different groups, I'm saying to myself, y'all don't know to use this credit card to go out to eat? Y'all don't know to use this? Y'all don't know to go to the buying groups? Y'all don't know how to use Cashback Monitor? And when I started realizing that a lot of people didn't know it, I said, hold on, there's something here. Maybe I should teach it to people. But I said, at first, obviously, I'm not a teacher. So for me, I was like, I'm going to keep it to myself. And it wasn't until I started getting around other people that were teaching things, and I'm starting to learn different ways of teaching it to other people. I said, you know what, I could do this. So once I started realizing it, and I started just giving out information, I would go on Instagram Live every day at one point. And I was going to Instagram Live every day, and I would give out little gems and stuff, and people would go crazy over the simplest stuff. And I'm like, hold on, y'all don't know that? And then that's when what Runway Billionaire said to me, I was like, that's what he meant when he said, put something on a scale of 0 to 10, and there's always somebody that's at a lower level than you that doesn't know that you can bring them up to speed and bring them up to that level that you're in. So I was like, oh, wow. So then that's when I, started realizing I know some stuff that a lot of people don't know. So me just giving out little gems here and there, I've had people that I know that have said, hey, Derrick, I want to take my kids to Disney World. I need to hit this sign-up bonus on my American Express Platinum. Help me do it. And I'll guide them through how to do it. And when that guy, when he hit me up and said, yo, I was able to do it, I'm so excited, I was able to pay, that warmed my heart to know that I taught somebody something that changed their lives. So, and it just happens all the time. So it's like, wow, a lot of people really didn't know this information. So it's our responsibility that if we know something, teach somebody else this stuff.
Yeah.
No, that's really true. So you did the big, you had like a big wedding, and you did it all with reward points.
Yep.
So how could you, like, let's say, because you say you want to jump in real estate.
Mm-hmm.
What's your plan to using like a credit card to get a house or like an investment property?
Well, one big thing is a lot of people don't understand. One, I would always recommend make sure you try to get business credit, right? Some credit cards there's a few different ways of doing it. Some credit cards have 0% interest on, let's say, purchases, but also on balance transfers. Usually the cards that have 0% interest on the balance transfer, it's a simple phone call. As you calling that credit card company and saying, hey, I want to move a balance over. A lot of the times, those 0% interest on balance transfer cards, they have what's called a convenience check or a balance transfer check. And what you can get this check and you can write this check out to yourself. The purpose of it is to move a high interest credit balance from one credit card to another.
Yeah.
But we all know that if we're looking to invest money into different income streams, we could take that money off of that credit card at 0% interest, deposit it into our bank account, and use that to go invest into real estate, right? So I'll give you an example. One of my trailers ended up costing me a little over $20,000. I had a $25,000 credit card, 0% interest on balance transfers and on purchases. I used that convenience check. I wrote out a check for $24,000. I put it into my bank account. Once that money cleared like a regular check, 2 days later, I was able to pay for my trailer. My trailer cash flows me anywhere between $1,100 to anywhere, let's say, $1,500 to $1,600 a month, right? I use that money to pay back the credit card. Now, a lot of people say, oh, wow, he pulled $24,000 off a credit card. But on a 0% interest credit card, that's $240 a month.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can't figure out, and it's 0% interest for 18 months, if you can't figure out what to do with a 0% interest credit card for almost 2 years, then you need to go back to the drawing board and really figure out and hone in on your skills before you go and start acquiring the business credit. Right. So I know I could use that towards real estate. I know that there's also some contractors and title companies out there that will allow you to use a credit card to purchase the land, to purchase the property. Or you could use different things like Plastique. You can use different things like QuickBooks. There's so many different ways of pulling money off of credit cards to be able to put it into income streams. You just got to definitely do your research and your due diligence, but also be responsible as well. Because knowing how to pull this money off of a credit card, some people would go, there are people out there that'll say, I pull $5,000 off so I can go into a music video and act like I got, the phone money, you know what I'm saying? But if you're using it responsibly, there's no telling what you can do with other people's money. And that's the day and age that we're in. People can become millionaires so fast right now just by getting the correct knowledge on how to do stuff.
Right.
Damn.
Especially having good credit too.
Right.
Because now there's no telling what industry you could get in. Like, and I like knowing the power of credit, because now there's no industry that the barrier might be too high. Whether it might be a $20,000 investment, $100,000 investment, and all right, cool. If the math is mathing, the return on investment on a monthly basis makes sense. All right, cool. Let's go get a little bit of funding. Make sure our credit is good. So now there's no excuse for you to be like, all right, cool. Now I got to go ahead and save up $100,000. Now I got to go ahead and, ask, a whole bunch of people for money. Meanwhile, you can literally go to the banks, and that's the best way to go. Like, you don't have to turn to your friends and family to ask them for money. You can literally fill out a simple application, 2-3 minutes, you get an approval or denial. If you get a denial, you just pick up the phone and say, hey, listen, I want to get approved.
Exactly.
So there's no business or any kind of situation where you're limited to, especially like when you have great credit. So That's why I love the power of credit too.
Right. And believe it or not, again, my first time ever doing funding, my first round of funding, I got $270,000.
Sheesh.
And I wasn't expecting that. And the thing is, my wife will tell you, there's times where I was so scared to apply for stuff, I'd apply and run away from the computer. And I would let her go. I would let her go and say, let me know if I got approved or not. She's like, Derrick, you got approved. I'm like, oh. Because you know what? We get scared. I was so used to, in the past, getting denials and stuff like that. But now when you have the information and you know that a denial is not necessarily a denial, because you can always, like Cody said, you can call reconsideration and say, yo, I got denied, but I know my credit profile is where it needs to be. Can you look this over? And a person will manually look over your whole credit profile and things like that. So it's all about understanding the power of credit and knowing that credit can literally change your life, man. I've seen it change. I've watched some of my friends go from $0 to becoming millionaires in no time. Like me, for example, I have a 9-to-5 job. I make great money at my 9-to-5 job, which is the reason why I haven't left my 9-to-5 job. But I have businesses and I have different income streams that are actually making me 6 figures a year. So my kids like nice stuff. You know, I like to take nice vacation. I like to do nice things on my vacations. I like to buy nice things. So, of course, this extra income does help. You know, and I'm all about leaving something for my children. So it's great that I not only can I leave them that generational wealth that everyone talks about, that's why I'm working on leaving them, but I also want to leave them what's called generational information. Because what good is getting generational wealth if you don't know what to do with it once your parent passes away? So I want to make sure my kids also have generational information, and that starts with understanding the power of credit. Credit's not going anywhere. So you better start teaching your kids early. Like, we didn't have that when I was a kid. We didn't know about credit. But now there's no excuse. There's too much things on social media. These kids are on YouTube every day. Learn something. Show them something on YouTube about credit. There's no excuse now. Right. We can't use it. And I hate when people say that thing. Oh, they didn't teach us that in school. Yeah. Okay, they didn't. But you on Instagram all day looking at Shade Room. Go learn something. Teach your kids something. Stop. Don't look for the teacher to teach them. They come home every day. The same iPad that they watch playing Roblox on and watching stuff on, show them something educational. That's how I started to learn. Watching podcasts like this, listening to podcasts. That's how I was able to learn. So start teaching your kids the same thing.
Right. Now you said something key. Like you still work and you still have, you know, businesses that's generating 6 figures. So now it's basically like an option to be at work. You know what I mean? Right. So now you can actually go out there. You can afford to do certain things. A lot of times we got to be like, hey, listen, I got to pick up an extra shift. You know, I got to do this. I got to do that. And now, you know, it shows that, you know, you can actually live comfortably knowing that you have extra income coming in. And that's why I'm actually chasing, you know, to get into the real estate field. Because at first I used to be like, after bills are paid, you getting like $500 a month. Like, that's nothing. Right. But now, imagine if you had 10 different properties. Everything is coming in at 500, 500, 500. Right. Now you got a good amount of money coming in every single month. Right. And you don't have to work for it.
The power of credit.
Yeah.
Credit does that for you. And I mean, I've been fortunate enough where, you know, I've always had jobs where it was lenient enough where I've been able to travel. A lot of people see me in these different rooms. I'm out of state. I go to Atlanta a lot for different functions. I'm everywhere. I go to different functions. Believe it or not, I have a job. And I you know, I make sure I'm able to make time to be able to do both. You know, does it become a lot? Yeah, but remember, we all have the same 24 hours. And the problem is a lot of us spend a lot of our 24 hours wasting it. So if you get good at time management, if you know you have to work from 9 to 5, then use your from 5 to 9, work on your business. You know, you may have to sacrifice a couple hours of sleep, or, you know, you may have to, hey, you know what, let me get up a little earlier so I could do some extra work on the computer for my business. But it's all worth it in the end. When you start seeing that return, it's game changer. It's a game changer for you.
Does having a 9 to 5 make you, like, it motivates you to kind of, because since you have that cushion to take more risks, like more bigger risks?
Right. I mean, it does, and I'm not going to lie, there's times where I'm like, oh, man, if I ain't had this job today, maybe I could have flew out to California to go, you know, go to this conference and that conference. So it's the good with the bad. But see, a wise man once told me, somebody that I knew that was investing in real estate said, when you have a 9 to 5 job, it's fantastic if, you know, you're investing in real estate with business credit, et cetera. But there's going to come a point where they're going to want to see tax statements, things like that. when you had that W-2 job, it looks better when you're going out there to get real estate. So anytime somebody told me, ever since someone told me that, I always say, you know what, let me always have this job where I'm getting W-2 income so it could offset a few things, but I also have the business. Now, my wife gets pissed off because she sees, oh, wow, you got all these expenses, these businesses, etc. How much are we going to owe in taxes? And then my accountant does what he has to do, and then she's fine. But... You know, I mean, again, it's all about the power of understanding how to leverage having these LLCs. LLCs became popular because of social media, but you also need to understand the power of having these LLCs or these corporations so you know exactly how to use them. So anytime someone says, can you start an LLC for me? Yeah, I could. But I would advise you to also talk to an accountant or your tax advisor and understand whatever business you're going to actually do. You want to know the correct way to be taxed on it. You want to know the correct business structure you need. Don't just go by because somebody told you to do it on the internet. That's only hearing on the internet is only half the battle. You still got to do your research. That's how so many people are getting jerked out there because they're believing what people are saying on the internet. And I'm not saying everybody's bad on the internet, but you also want to do your own due diligence as well. So that's very important.
Okay, that's dope.
Damn, that's dope. Just to know the power of credit and like you could do all of those things with a credit card. Damn, nah. That's really crazy. So like, being that you did it, like you had a wedding, you want to jump into real estate, like have you built a community teaching people these things?
Yes, I actually have. So it started off for me just going out. So at first, remember, I didn't want to teach this to anybody. I knew this set of skills, but I saw there was a need out there for people that want to learn about it, right? And what ended up happening was I was in a mentorship with my guy, Runway Billionaire, and we were talking about, helping people get business funding. And I remember mentioning to him, I want to know how to, incorporate the business funding to what I know how to do. And he's like, okay, put a date on it. I said, well, what do you mean put a date on it? Put a date on it because if you never say the date in which you're going to do something, you're never going to do it. He says, you should teach it to somebody. Put a date on it. So I made up some date, not thinking he would ever double back and say anything. Couple weeks later, a young lady was in the mentorship, and she mentioned she wanted to learn exactly what I knew, but she didn't know that I knew about it. So I started rambling off, and I didn't realize they were recording what I was saying. The next day, one of the guys went on social media. He went on Instagram and said, hey, if you join my community, we had a gentleman in the community telling us about how he was able to pay for certain things with his credit cards, doing this, and this. I didn't realize he was talking about me. So about an hour later, my phone rings, and he's like, yo, Derrick, what are you doing on this day? I said, nothing. Why? Good, you're teaching a class on exactly what you know how to do. I was like, oh, okay. Now, I've never taught it before. I never put a slideshow together, anything. I had to figure out how to do it. But that was my first introduction. They paid me to go and teach it. So once they paid me, I was like, okay, I guess this is my price now. So I said, okay, I'm going to teach it. I enjoyed it so much that I said, let me just start doing masterclass and free webinars with it. It went from that to me actually writing my first ebook. I wrote an ebook about me being able to do my journey on paying off my wedding with my cash back and reward points from my credit cards. I started selling. I'm like, wow, this is actually working. It wasn't until it was about, I want to say, a week before the Play for Play Versus that we had in Brooklyn, the very first one. I was walking up the street. I was walking up Flatbush with my guy, Dub Washington. And he said to me, he's like, yo, why don't you start a mentorship or something? And I'm like, well, why would I do that? He says, because a lot of people want to learn what you know. He says, and if you don't do it, all I'm going to do is take the people that want to learn from you, and I'm going to teach them and get paid to teach them, whereas you could be doing the same thing. So I said, you know what, that's a good idea. I said, but what would I teach them? I said, I know about, what I know. I know about business funding. I know what I know, and that's it. He said, yo, just be yourself. So what ended up happening was I sat down, and because I call everything the Spend Secrets, I started a mentorship called the Spend Secret Society. Now, the Spend Secret Society is based off of exactly what this podcast is like, right? It's based off of, I like to bring in people into my mentorship. I'm a regular guy that does regular things. I just happen to get great information and I execute on it. So I'm no different than anybody else. I execute on great information. I'm not driving around in a Maybach. I'm not taking private jets, but I live a great life with the information that I have. Not yet. But I live a great life. My kids want for nothing. I'm comfortable. My wife is good. My life is great for me. So I like to be able to give it back to people. So I started networking with so many different people that I said, yo, I want to learn about Airbnb. I want to learn about Turo. I want to learn more about business credit. I want to learn about trailers and trucking. So I started reaching out to the people that I knew and have them come in and teach classes in my mentorship. Mm-hmm. So while my mentees, I call them my family, the spenders, while they're learning, I'm learning as well. So I'm taking those same notes. I'm writing down the same information. This way I can go implement it as well. So the Spend Secret Society, we got over 50 members in the Spend Secret Society. We have over 40 members. We just did our 54th class in the Spend Secret Society. We meet every Wednesday. Every Wednesday they have a different person come on every Wednesday. So if you think about it, there's 52 weeks in a year. At first, the Spend Secret Society was 2 classes a week. Now it's 1 class every single week. So that's at least a minimum of 52 different people speaking every week. And I reach out to whoever I think is the best or who can articulate what they do the best to my community, and I bring them on to come teach my people, and I learn at the same time.
Imagine, because it's like Derrick already came on the platform and already gave a lot of games, a lot of plays. Now imagine you join his Secret Spending Society. Think about what you could do with that information.
Right.
That's crazy.
Right.
And what's your ways of sourcing these people? Because you don't bring anybody in the community.
Right.
Like usually, I mean, it's only quality people most times. You
right.
know?
Right.
Like, how do you find these people? Like, is it Instagram? Is it like being at events?
So,
how does it usually work for you personally?
So for me personally, I have my background before I started getting into certain businesses. I used to be in the music industry. I started off as a DJ. When I used to DJ a lot, I used to meet different DJs, things like that. I would have to network to get myself into the clubs. Then I ventured into the music industry. Now, I ain't gonna say who, but while I was in the music industry, I was able to help get people record deals. I was also able to help people get publishing deals, right? The only way you're able to get into certain offices and certain rooms is to know how to articulate yourself. So I mastered, once I would get somebody's email address or things like that, I mastered exactly what to say in the email to get them to give me a meeting. Or I mastered what to say to them at different events to be able to get them to say, okay, give me a call on this day and come up to the office. So I took what I knew in the music industry and I brought that into this world right here. So what I'll do is I'll go on, and believe it or not, a lot of people have the same people in the same circles. But what I'll do is I'll look at whoever's the big name in that industry. Believe it or not, if you look in the comments or in the likes, usually somebody else that's just as good as that person is in the comments or the likes. So I start scrolling through, I'll look at different people's pages, and I say, oh, this person does Turo. This person does Airbnb. And what I'll do is I'll start following them. I'll go on their lives, I'll interact on their lives. You know what I'm saying? I may even join one of their free webinars just to see their teaching style, and then I'll go into their DMs. I literally slide into DMs, or I'll ask somebody that I know is a mutual friend and say, hey, look, my name is Derrick. Listen, I have my own mentorship. I have my own community. I would love to have you come out and come teach my community. You teach valuable information, and I just love to have you in there. Now, most people will say, you know what? Some people leave me on red. I'm not gonna lie.
It happens.
But some people will say, yo, I would love to come through to your community. Now, some people charge me, but for me, I'll say, you know what? I don't mind paying that price for me to get the information also, but also to bring it back to my community. But for the most part, it's, hey, I see the value. I've heard about you before. I would love to come teach in your community. And sometimes I'm thinking it's only going to be 1 hour. There's people that stay on my calls for 3-4 hours just teaching. And it's like, I'm talking the top of the top of teachers and they usually do 1 hour webinars. They're in my mentorship teaching for 2 and 3 hours and saying, I'd love to come back next week and teach again. So it's all about being confident and just saying, look, I got a community just like you. I would love to have you come and speak to my community. And believe it or not, you would catch a lot of people saying, absolutely, I'd love to do it. And that's how I do it.
What's the pros of connecting with good people? Like, how does that, outside of coming into the community, how does that, like, impact you in business? Like, just knowing or even saying, yo, they came to my community, they did a little, a 1-2 call,
right?
Whatever. Like, what's the pros of that?
It gives me social proof. But not only does it give me social proof, if somebody else that I'm after sees that I had this person on my mentorship or teaching, they may say, who's this regular guy that was able to get him or her to come teach in his mentorship? I may need to pay attention to that guy.
Yeah.
Because not only that, now if I go into a room where one of these people like InvestFest, a lot of people were there. A lot of people that I've had in my mentorship was at InvestFest. So now I have them introducing me to other people. I saw him I did a class for him. He's pretty cool. Let me introduce you to this person. Let me introduce you to that person. That's how it benefits me, because some of these people don't just speak in any mentorship. So when people come into my community, I say, look, y'all are in for a treat, because I have people in this mentorship that people pay thousands of dollars to get them to come talk on their mentorship. But I got them for you guys today. And they're like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah, I got this person. I got that person. And I've just been rocking out ever since. And it's just me building up a name, me being able to show people, hey, he's for real. You know, he's bringing people on his platform. He's asking the right questions. And then there's times where they'll say, hey, Derrick, can you come on my platform and teach something to my people?
Right.
Gladly, I'll do it. No problem.
Right.
So that's normally how I do it. I love to build relationships with people, because you never know. The same people you see on your way up could be the same people you see on the way down. So I treat the janitor the same way I treat the CEO. That's how I do everything.
Yeah, that's kind of like with us, you know, with the podcasting, because now when you get certain guests on the show, it's like, oh, wait, he had him?
Right.
Oh, nah, he turned it up. And then it was like, I wonder how much he charged for his podcast or whatever. So now it gives you that credibility. It's more easier for you to get guests. Right. It builds that relationship. And you never know where it can go to. You can start making money with that person. You can start investing with them. You could come, like you said, come back in their community, start talking, and now you start being able to actually making money. So that's dope.
I'm proud of you guys, man. Because and I've told you this before. Like, you know, I've seen, you know, you guys' growth. You know what I'm saying? I was at InvestFest and I saw you guys running around like crazy. I was like, they getting that footage. They getting the people. I love it. I love it. Y'all, you know, y'all were out there working, and I respected it. And just to see young guys like yourselves, you know, usually when you see podcasts that's doing garbage. I'm like, why are they even interviewing people? Like, I see you guys really putting in work. So I'm definitely proud of you guys, and I know you guys are destined for some big stuff in the future. So
absolutely, it's like, we don't even know how it's gonna look in the next year from now, but it's like, it's kind of scary, but we gonna let it play out, and we gonna continue doing our thing as far as like meeting people, like connecting. And so far, we're like in the first month or so, and we already got some great guests. We probably recorded like 8 episodes. Yeah. There's people that's struggling just to even get that first episode started, you know? So just having you on our platform, having other people like Sheeta, Brandon and Tevin, Charles, all the other great people, and it's more to come, you know.
Yep, a lot more to come.
A lot more, and a lot of good people, and you even put in a good word. So y'all gonna stay tuned with that one for sure.
Yeah. Sure.
But thank you.
Yeah, but before we wrap, I just want because I know it's a lot of it's gonna be people out there who stuck in their ways. They still using a debit card versus a credit card. Mm-hmm. What you got to say to them, like? People who stuck in using that debit card for everything, they keep that credit card
right
folded up somewhere.
I always tell everybody, stop using your debit card. Just put it away, put it in the trash, do something with it. Keep it handy when you need it, but go with the credit card, because the credit card is going to give you 1, reward points, cash back, and all the benefits. But 2, you ever go somewhere and someone all of a sudden you look on your bank statement, you're like, oh man, somebody done took my credit card information and they spending money in Thailand somewhere. A lot of the times, if they take enough money, your bank may have to go through a whole investigation process to try to get you your money back. Nothing is guaranteed. Whereas with a credit card, listen, you call up, hey, somebody took my I didn't authorize this payment, I didn't do this. Usually that credit card company is going to reverse it quicker than a debit card or a bank would. That credit card company gives you that added layer of protection. Plus, it gives you something for having it. They incentivize you. They want you to use it. So I say this: learn to not use that debit card and let's focus on the credit card instead.
Now that's really a fact though, because it's like the debit card is like that's your money.
Right.
So you can't just be going out spending it anywhere, especially unsecure places. Rather than if you have the credit card, like you said, you know, it's easier for you to kind of make that phone call, and then, you know, they'll put the balance back on the card, on the credit card, rather than if it's your money, it'll take some time. Right. Now you're backed on bills, and it's crazy.
I've had my credit card number stolen at McDonald's, at a gas station. You know, you never know. Amazon. My daughter, one time I looked, my daughter has a debit card that's attached to my bank account. And one day I looked, I was like, why do I have money coming out of my account? Because hers is attached to mine. She was in school and gave one of her friends, they was ordering, trying to do DoorDash or something and did it wrong. Someone took the credit card number. It was a whole ordeal for me to get my money back. So that's why I said that I don't ever do. Now she can't use a debit card anywhere unless she asks me. But that's why credit cards are so important, just for the added layer of protection. So
right.
Definitely.
Right.
Yeah, man, this was a great convo. But I know for sure a lot of people are going to want to tap into your community.
Definitely.
You know, especially after this, for all the plays and everything you gave. So, I mean, if anybody wants to tap in, how could they reach you?
Well, you can follow me at Mr. So Mr_DLOFTIN. So Mr_DLoftin on Instagram. For anyone that's looking to become a part of the community, you can always hit me up on Instagram. But what I did was, for anyone that says, hey, I saw you on the podcast, well, I want to tap in. I like the information you were saying. Listen, how do I get in? What I did was I put a promo code. So if you go to www.spendsecretsociety.com, put in the promo code 50K. Put in the promo code GIFT, because I'm giving you guys a gift. Put in the promo code GIFT and look at the discount that you get. And you're only getting it because of these two gentlemen here. So you're getting, I want to say 60% off on the mentorship, on the community, because of these two gentlemen here. So you put in the promo code GIFT. Now, let's say you're not ready, you're just saying, hey, look, I can't afford the mentorship right now, then you could do spendsecretsociety.com and you do the //, the forward slash,
forward slash
50K. Because I'm speaking into existence that these gentlemen are going to have 50,000 subscribers by the end of next year. Ooh. So that's my goal for you guys. So put in 50K, and you can actually get my ebook. I actually discounted it down to $7. Wow, it's the ebook that is going to teach you exactly how I was able to pay off my $54,000 wedding just by using the cashback reward points from my credit card. So you have both of those two things going for you.
$7 to learn how you did the 50,000.
Yep.
That's crazy.
You can't beat it.
That's crazy.
$7, and then you got the 60% off the mentorship if you use the promo code GIFT.
GIFT. Yep.
And we talking to somebody who paid off his wedding using reward points. So imagine if you're in the community, like, come on, like, you can't miss it. You cannot miss it.
I got 3-hour classes on exactly how I was able to pay off my wedding.
Wow.
3-hour classes.
That's like a framework blueprint class right there.
Yeah, exactly. Step by step.
Wow. But out of curiosity, Derrick, how many, since 2021, since you learned all this information, how many flights have you took?
Let me think
that
about
you did not pay for?
I want to say, because I also, not only do I not pay, my kids don't pay either, and my wife doesn't pay.
So you could count them as one.
Yeah, I want to say I've taken about 24, 25 flights. If I count them, maybe even 30. So this year, just alone, I've gone to Jamaica, I've gone to North Carolina, I've gone to Florida, I've gone to New Orleans, I've gone to Atlanta, I've gone to a bunch of places. Yeah, I want to say about 30 flights for free that I haven't paid for. And that's in combination with me, my wife, my kids. And then not only that, because my daughter knows how to do this, she doesn't pay for flights either. I got a 23-year-old daughter, so she flies wherever California. She goes to Buffalo to go visit her friends a lot. She goes all over the country too. So yeah, we don't pay at all.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, I literally just booked, I want to say, 9 flights just for Thanksgiving around that time, and I didn't pay anything for it.
Wow.
And that's ranging from my wife and my older daughter. They're gonna go down to Orlando. Yeah. Because we're going to Disney for Thanksgiving.
That's nice.
I have to go and fly from New York to LAX to pick up my daughter. I also got free flights for her mom to leave Hawaii to come to LAX. So it's actually more than 9. She's gonna meet me in LAX. We're gonna fly from LAX to Orlando with my daughter. Yeah. We're going to stay there. Then when Thanksgiving's over, my daughter and my wife, they're going to fly back to New York. I'm going to fly back from Orlando to LAX to drop my daughter off and fly back to New York. So, yeah, it's a bunch.
All for free.
Only because I don't trust leaving my daughter on the flight by herself. She's 13. Maybe by the time she gets 15, I let her fly by herself. But, yeah, I fly a lot. So.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Wow. You might as well just get your pilot license, bro. Get one of those small propeller planes.
Yeah. I fly.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's dope. All right, cool.
Yep.
Any final thoughts before we close out?
Listen, invest in yourself. You know, I'm very big on this one saying is I always say, I'm not here to give you what you want, I'm here to give you what you need. And the reason why I always say that is because a lot of us sit around and we see the passive income, we see the nice houses and nice cars, and that's all the things that we want, right? But how many of us are willing to put in the grind, the hustle, the work, the things that we need to do to get to what we want? So I always say, I'm not here to give you what you want, I'm here to give you what you need. Because ultimately, if you do what you need to do, whatever you want is on the other side of that. So
Can't close it off any better, y'all. So thank you guys for any final remarks, bro?
No, I think he said it all.
Me too. I think so. I definitely think so. But listen, again, like, comment, and subscribe.
Yep.
Make sure you share with a friend. Make sure you comment down below what was your favorite part. Also, check out Derrick's information. 50K. We said Spend Secrets.
SpendSecretSociety.com/50K. You get my ebook for $7, or you could join the community. SpendSecretSociety.com. You put in a promo code GIFT, and it'll give you 60% off on the community.
And then also we put the link in the.
Yeah, we're gonna put the link in the description.
All right.
And
Okay.
then, yep.
All right, y'all. So this is a great episode. Some people might watch it 1, 2, or even 3 times because they're like, "Yo, listen." He said Spend Secrets. He said buying groups. He said credit boards. He said credit forums. He said Mike FICO. And they gonna catch it. They gonna catch these gems.
Catch it, bro.
They're definitely gonna catch these gems. But just watch it again over and over, and also tap in with the information. But again, this is another episode with Motion and Success Podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll see you on the next episode.
Next one.
Peace out, y'all.